relationship with you. The moment also cameras are set, just alert me and we'll be set to roll. All right, my colleagues in the same profession are telling me they are ready. So allow me welcome Ms. Nakaenga Juliet, our principal statistician, to come and give to us details of findings of the inflation as of January 2026. Julie, you are welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good to have you on board. Seeing some faces that are with us. You're all most welcome. I'm seeing some principal statistician there, Audrey. Good to have you and your team. And the journalists that are present, thank you for attending. Today we are here to release the January 2026 inflation for Uganda. So the annual headline inflation for Uganda for the month of January 2026 was recorded at 3.2%. Sometimes I like explaining a little bit. That means prices for January 2026 compared to January 2025 have increased by 3.2% in general. So that's our headline inflation, the 3.2%. And when we were in December last month when we were here, we had recorded it at 3.1. So the headline inflation for Uganda for the month of January 2026 is 3.2 compared to 3.1 that was recorded last month. So we normally look at the underlying inflation, or what we call the core inflation. In this core inflation, we remove the volatile elements. And these volatile elements, that's where we have the EFU, the energy, fuels and utilities, and the food crops. that are influenced by many factors and are highly volatile. So whatever we remain with in the basket is what we call core inflation. So the annual core inflation was recorded at 3.3% compared to 3.1%. So there was an increment from 3.1 to 3.3%. So the drivers of core. Under core inflation, we have services and goods and some goods which we call core goods, the processed goods that are it could be processed food, other goods that we use in homes that are manufactured. They're not highly volatile, so they're part of core. So for the services, we noted an increase of 4.8% compared to 4.0% that was recorded in December. And then for the annual core goods inflation, it was recorded at 2.1% compared to 2.5%. This shows that there is a slowdown in the goods. It's just a slowdown, since it's still a positive. So comparing January 2026 prices of core and January 2025 prices of core, there was an increase of 2.1% in prices. But when we compare that increase to the increase of last month, there's been a slowdown. The car is still moving forward, but at a reduced speed. That means prices are still going high. So there is a slowdown, but still an increment. So under the services, we noted passenger transport by air increased to 8.8% compared to 1.2%. Then we had passenger transport by road, which was noted at 0.0 compared to the minus 3.8% that was noted in December. We have refuse collection with a huge increment. These rarely increase, and they have a bit of a small weight in our basket, but it's important to see them. And these are because of the reasons we know, the change of the venue where they dump this rubbish. So this caused the service providers to revise their prices. So looking at the annual core goods inflation, we have items like sugar. So sugar prices dropped by minus 1.2% compared to 3.1%. So when you see a negative, that means the price at which you're enjoying it in this month is lower than the price at which you enjoyed it the same month last year. So there was a reduction. When you look at smoked tilapia fish, we see a 1.7% compared to the 12.5%. Maize flour, see a 5.0 compared to a 6%. Have laundry soap, which was noted at minus 2.2%. That means a reduction compared to the same period last year. And then when we compare it to what we got last month, it was 0.2% for that period of time, for December 2025. So I'm done with core inflation, and which involved the services and other goods. So now I want to look at the category that we had eliminated, which is the category of food crops and related items. So we note it slightly reducing to 3.0% in January 2026 compared to 4.4% that was recorded in December 2025. And this was due to items like the matoke prices that have dropped by 4.5% in this January 2026 compared to the 0.7% that we recorded in December. I think if you are aware of these seasonalities in the food crops, when it comes to January, the matoke is a lot on the because of the temperatures, so they tend to ripe. So there are a lot on the market. So the prices, once the supply is too much and the same demand, the prices will go down. So as a reduction of 4.5%. Then we look at tomatoes. They further reduced by minus 10.1% in January compared to minus 4.3% that was recorded in December 2025. Looking at the sweet potatoes also, we see a slight reduction, a slowdown, not a reduction, a slowdown to 4.0% from the 12.5% that was recorded in December 2025. We see beans, dry beans, also slowing down to 1.0% in January 2026 compared to the 1.5% that was recorded in December 2025. Look, also another item is the Irish potatoes. These Irish potatoes slowed down to 1.3% in January 2026 compared to the 2.3% that we recorded in December 2025, or last month. Another element that we had removed that I want to also talk about is the energy fuels and utilities on an annual basis. So the EFU increased to 1.7% in January 2026 compared to the 1.4% that we recorded in December 2025. And the drivers, we have electricity, which further, but a slight now decrease of 1.8% in January 2026 compared to the minus 3.7% that we recorded in December 2025. We have firewood prices increasing to 6.9% in January 2025 compared to the 4.9% that we recorded in December 2025. So this is the summary of what I have been talking about. We have the headline moving from 3.1 to 3.2. We have the core also increasing to 3.3 from 3.1. And under core, those are the two breakdowns that we talked about, the other goods and services. And then we have another broader category, food crops and related items, that slowed down, and energy fuels and utilities, the EFU, that increased to 1.7. So that is the summary for the annual movements. So to give you a picture of how the inflation is moving month to month, from December 2024 up to where we are now in January 2026, the annual inflation we see is recorded at 3.2. Last month we had 3.1. It had November we had 3.1. So that is the current movement. You can admire it and see how the trends are moving. So ladies and gentlemen, when we are talking about the inflation, we do not only consider food. Like we always say, the CPI is broken down into these divisions that you're seeing. We have food and non-alcoholic beverages as the division 1, alcoholic beverages, up to down where we go to the personal care. So whatever you use in a household is catered for, and we look at these prices and check out the inflation. For example, when you look at that category of food and non-alcoholic beverages, every food that you eat at home is considered in there. We saw a slowdown of 3.5, from 3.5 to 3.0. Alcoholic beverages, slowdown to 1.0 from 1.6. So you can continue seeing the different categories up to when you get the division of your interest. So ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the picture that shows us the broader picture from comparing this month and the same period last year. Now we want to look at the short term. when we are comparing this month that we are ending and last month in a short period of time, how have the prices moved? So in a short period of time, we see prices further increasing by 0.3% from the earlier increase in December of 0.5% that we recorded. And this was mainly when we look at the food crops under now the monthly, the short term, we see food crops in January dropping by 0.7% compared to the 0.3% that we got last month. And under these food crops, these are the items. Still, the other picture of the matoke that we talked about was on an annual basis. Still, matoke on a monthly basis is still going down. So matoke in January was recorded at minus 6.6% compared to the minus 0.9% that we recorded last month. See items like passion fruits. Previously, they've been quite pricey, but for those that are buying now, we see a reduction by minus 6.0% compared to the 8.9% that we saw in December, just last month. This is on a short-term basis. See, sweet potatoes also decreasing by minus 3.8% compared to the earlier drop of 1.6%. Pineapples are also on the market, we can see. So their prices have decreased by 8.5% compared to the 0.0 that we had last month. Then tomatoes are still going down. So they went down by 1.7% compared to the minus 4.0% that we recorded last month. So that is it for the food crops and related items for a short period of time on a monthly basis. Now looking at the core inflation. Core inflation, we see a 0.5% increase compared to the earlier increase also of 0.5. They got the same figure, but they are all increases. So last month, prices increased by 0.5, and also this month, prices on a monthly basis of core have increased by 0.5%. So under this monthly core, we have the monthly services inflation increased by 0.7% compared to the earlier increase in December of 0.7%. Core goods inflation on a monthly basis also increased by 0.3% compared to the 0.3% that was earlier seen in December 2025. So still on a monthly basis, passenger transport services increased by 0.4% in this January compared to the 4.3% that we recorded in December. Then the refuse collection, or the rubbish collection from homes and other, increased by 13.0% from the 0.0 that was recorded in December. So monthly other goods inflation, the drivers here, we see the chicken. The live chicken increased by 9.1% compared to the 5.8% that was recorded in December 2025. The fresh tilapia increased by 8.3% compared to the minus 1.7% that we got in December. Meat in January is still going high. It went up again by 1.7%. The prices still went higher in January compared to the earlier rise in December of 0.9%. The smoked Nile perch went up by 6.8% in January 2026 compared to the earlier drop of 1.4% that was recorded in December 2025. On a monthly basis, we see a 0.0% in general for energy, fuels, and utilities. When you see a 0.0%, that means the prices as they were in last month are stable now. There is stability with the 0.0%. So within there are prices that are going up, others are going down. So giving you a picture of those that went up. Have firewood prices went up by 1.3% compared to the 7.0% that was recorded in December 2025. Petrol prices as well have gone up on a monthly basis when we compare December to January by 0.5%. And in January, we saw them slightly going down by 0.2%. Then for the items that had their prices go down, we have charcoal. Charcoal prices have dropped by 1.0% compared to the earlier drop of, again, 1.0% that we noted in December. So we have gas, this cooking gas that we use in homes, dropped by 0.2% this January 2026 compared to the no change, the 0.0% that we saw in December 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the overall picture of the overall CPI for on a monthly basis. So in January, we see a 0.3. Last month, we saw a rise of 0.5. So that's how the trends have been moving on a monthly basis. So we normally select for you a few items from the basket. There are quite many, we can't show all of them here. So a few selected items and their prices. For example, when you look at that first item, which is the local chicken, a kilo of a local chicken is, when we look at 2025 January, that was last year in January, the price of a kilo was 18,407. The price now is 19,899 in January. But when you compare it with that of December, December was slightly lower, 18,431. So that means there's been an increase, first of all, on a monthly basis, that from December to January, prices moved from 18 to 19. Then again, when you compare January to the other January of last year, again, there's been an increment. So that's how you can see how you see the impact of a monthly and also an annual basis. Look at fresh tilapia, the next item. We see January last year, the price was 16,244 a kilo of a fresh tilapia fish. Yet now in this January, a kilo is 16,017 shillings. That means we are enjoying tilapia at a cheaper price compared to last year. Now, when you're comparing the same fresh tilapia, comparing this month and last month, again, it's a different story, that we see a price increment from 15,410 to 16. So that's how price movements, they can behave on a monthly basis. It can go up, and on an annual basis, it comes down. So we should note that. The price movement can take any direction. So you can continue comparing, since we shall give you these. Now let me paint a picture across the country of all the centers that we collect. So this time round, we had the highest as Kampala High Income and Masaka. They both registered 4.0. So when we talk about Kampala High Income, it registered 4.0 compared to the 4.2 that was earlier recorded. And this was mainly driven by transport in Kampala and financial services, like you can see. Then when you come to Masaka, where they all got a 4.0, Masaka got 4.0% in January 2026 compared to the 3.7% that was recorded in December 2025. And this was mainly Masaka's prices the high prices were influenced by restaurants and accommodation services that increased to 9.6% compared to the 7.1% that was recorded last December 2025. And also the annual transport influenced Masaka. So the list inflation this time round, we saw it in Arua, and it was recorded at 1.3% for January 2026 compared to 1.5% that we recorded in December 2025. This was mainly driven by food and non-alcoholic beverages that was recorded at 0.6% compared to the 1.6%. And in addition, transport was registered at 1.4 compared to the 2.8. So in a graphical, so we can all see clearly in this graphical presentation where Kampala high income is high, and also Masaka is following the same suit. So you can still go ahead and look at it that way. So ladies and gentlemen, I thank you so much for coming. Our next press release will be on Friday, 27th February 2026. Asanteni sana. Thank you.
Tunashukuru sana, ndugu Juliet. Thank you so much for that presentation. Truly, the highlights that you've made, the emphasis that you've put, I believe that no one will misrepresent your presentation. Thank you so much. We're going to be going into our second presentation, and that is for the construction input price indices. And this is going to be given unto us by none other than your usual face that you're used to. That is Irene Mositwa Mrs. She's going to give us the CP presentation. So, Irene, I welcome you to come and give us what has been found in the CP inflation tendencies. You're welcome. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Irene is here for you.
Good morning. Irene Namgeze Msitwa. I'm here to give you the findings of the Construction Input Price Index for the year that ended December 2025. Please note the findings are for the December 2025. We are 1 month lag for the Construction Input Price Index. This is our usual outlay. We are going to have the definition, the structure of the index, its composition, uses, and then we go to the findings. To remind ourselves, the Construction Input Price Index, it measures the average change in prices of inputs that go into the construction sector, such as construction materials, labor and equipment hire out charges. This is the structure of the index. We look at construction of buildings, civil engineering, and then specialized construction activities. Under construction of buildings, we monitor prices that go into the construction of residential buildings, construction of non-residential buildings. Under civil engineering, we monitor prices of inputs that go into construction of roads and railways, as well as construction of utility projects. And under specialized construction activities, we look at material prices that go into demolition and site preparation, electrical, plumbing, and other construction installation activities, and then building completion and finishing. The major uses of the index, it is used to monitor the cost of construction inputs over time. It is also a deflator in the gross domestic product for the sector. It enables price escalation for closed payments that go on for over 18 months. It is also an indicator of growth in the construction sector. Let's go to the findings. We are looking at a period of 1 year. We are looking at prices, how they fared in December 2024 vis-a-vis what happened in December 2025. On an annual basis, the construction input inflation was registered at 0.2% for the year that ended December 2025. The construction input price index registered an inflation of 0.2% in the year that ended December 2025, compared to a 0.3% increase that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. The main drivers of that 0.2% increase, we had specialized construction activities increase to 0.2% for the year that ended December 2025, compared to a 0.5% increase that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. Civil engineering works for the year that ended December 2025 registered an increase of 0.4%, compared to the same increase of 0.4% that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. Construction of buildings, it registered an increase of 0.2% for the year that ended December 2025, compared to 0.2% increase that was registered for November 2025. This is a graphical presentation of what I've been showing you. We are seeing construction of buildings, that is blue. And then also the index itself, it's trying to slow down. This is a table clearly showing you what I've been saying. We are having our index at 0.2% for the year that in December 2025, compared to a 0.3% increase that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. That is how construction of buildings is faring. It is at 0.2, civil engineering 0.4, and then specialized construction activities is at 0.2%, coming from a 0.5% increase that was registered for November 2025. Let's look at materials that had significantly their prices rise. We had sand rise to 1.5% for the year that in December 2025, compared to a 1.3% increase that was registered for the year that in November 2025. Paints and varnishes also had their prices go up to 0.6% December 2025, compared to a decline of minus 0.2% that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. Insulated electrical cables also had a rise of 1.5% for December 2025, compared to a 0.8% increase that was registered for November 2025. On the other hand, we had some materials have their prices go down. We had high tensile steel bars had a decline of 1% for the year that ended December 2025, compared to a 1.4% further decrease that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. Plastic pipes and fittings also had their prices go down by 0.2% for the year that ended December 2025, compared to a 0.3% decrease that was registered for the year that ended November 2025. Let's look at a 1 month period. We are looking at what happened in November 2025 and what happened in December 2025. In a period of 1 month, the index is registering a stable increase for the month of December 2025, the same rate that was registered for November 2025. On a month-to-month basis, we had construction of buildings registering a stable rate. The same picture we saw for November 2025. Also, civil engineering is stable in prices for December 2025, compared to a 0.1% increase that was registered for November 2025. Specialized construction activities also had their prices stable for the month of December, the same thing that happened for November 2025. These are line graphs showing how the drivers are faring. We are seeing blue being pulled down by all the other groups that have their prices trying to go down. The same thing that I've been explaining, on a month-to-month basis, prices that go into the construction sector are registering most of them stable changes. However, though we are seeing the stable, that doesn't stop some items having their prices fluctuate. We had aggregate hardcore crushed broken stone have an increase of 0.2% in December 2025, compared to a decrease of 0.4% that was registered for November 2025. Diesel on a monthly basis also had its price go up by 0.1% in December 2025, compared to a decrease of 0.5% that was registered in November 2025. Paints and finishes on a monthly basis, they have their price go up by 0.3% in December 2025, compared to a 0.7% further increase that was registered for November 2025. On the other hand, we had some materials have their prices go up on a monthly basis. Cement had its price go down by 0.4% in December 2025, compared to a 0.1% that was registered in November 2025. We are seeing cement registering a further decrease on a monthly basis in December. We also had roofing sheets have its price go down by 0.7% in December 2025, compared to a decrease of 0.1% that was registered in November 2025. Nails, bolts, screws, and similar items also had their prices go down by 0.6% in December 2025, compared to a 0.9% increase that was registered in November 2025. Thank you so much for listening to me. We meet again on 27th February 2026, same time.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Irene Musitwa, for the brief and concise presentation. I truly believe that you've been listening in so closely, but we also want to give out handouts for you to, again, throw an eye and see whether what you've noted is what is exactly that has been presented, and then you will be reacting. Okay, we can have a minute or two to synthesize in the presentation, see what to comment on, probably seek clarity on any. I'll be calling the panel led by the principal to take the front seats, and then we'll be asking wherever we've not understood or wherever we seek clarity. Then after that, we'll be having the Uganda version. So if I do have a question, a reaction, compliment, supplement, now is the time. I can see Juko's hand is already up. He has one which is burning.
Thank you. I'm Juko from UBC Star. Now, in both presentations, I've seen that the fuel, that is, fuel prices during the same period increased, though slightly. And that's when also Trump invaded Venezuela, the highest oil-producing country in the world, among the 10. It is the first, followed by Saudi Arabia. I wonder whether that increase was attributed to that, because we are told that that takeover, in a global perspective, led to an increase in fuel prices. So I wonder whether that was taken into perspective in your findings. If not so, what led to that slight increase? Thank you.
Thank you, Bwana Juko. Just next neighbor.
Good afternoon. I am Pauline. Thank you for that submission. But I beg to
Pauline,
be
to be to
explained.
our benefit, for you mentioned the media house.
Oh, sorry, Pauline UBC. Pauline Ongayet for UBC. I beg for your explanation on something that I don't understand. You keep telling us the annual consumer price index is from January 2026 compared to December 2025. I don't understand how that factors in. I would have imagined it would have been compared to January 2025. So if you could help me understand that. Then we keep getting reports that we have stable inflation rate in the country. But when we come for these pressers, you're telling us the consumer price index is increasing. Maybe you could give me a correlation and I understand that, how this doesn't affect the other one or how each factors into the other. Also, we have realized that in following the post-election, the economy has received so much money. Does it factor in any way to these things? And if it does, how?
Thank you so much. Any other reaction? Eric, you want to say something? Hey, Mboa, you can send it to him. Please forward it to the person behind you. I think he's still processing the question. So let me have the team respond to that.
Thank you very much, the team from UBC. We had Juko asking why, reasons why the fuel prices are going up, slightly going up. I should be particular. Let us not forget that fuel is an imported item. And that's the problem with imported items. We sometimes get what we call imported inflation, which you have no control over or the government has no control over. So the imported items sometimes come with their imported inflation. So it's automatic. When prices increase wherever they are coming from, it's automatic they will increase here as well. So imported items have that problem. that challenge. So they get to us what we call imported inflation. So many factors can influence that slight increment, but that could be part of what is causing this fuel price to go up. I hope, Juko, we are okay with that. Then to Collins again from UBC, an explanation. Maybe now I should explain clearly such that someone understands. When we talk about annual inflation, say of January, the word we've given you as 3.2%, 3.2% for January. That inflation was arrived at by comparing prices of January 2026 and January 2025. That number, the 3.2, that's why it's an annual inflation. So we arrived at that number by comparing prices of January 2026. No, it's okay. January 2026, that I'm talking about the only figure of 3.2, that figure. So the increase of prices from January 2025 to January 2026, that increase is the 3.2. Are we together with that? Yeah? So again, last month we were in the same building releasing the one of December. Are we together? Last month, I think you are not here, but we were here releasing the one of December. The one of December, the one we released last month, was comparing prices of December 2025 and December 2024. Are we together? So in December, we also got a figure, which was 3.1. Are we together? In December, when we were here. So now, the comparison you're seeing is the figure we got last month and the figure we've got this month on an annual basis. So this month we have got 3.2. Last month we got 3.1. So the one we got of last month was the one of December 2025. That's why we are comparing January 2026 and December 2025. They are all annual figures. I don't know if I've not confused you further. But we can look at a figure in particular, a figure at a time. Don't look at both of them. Look at a figure at a time. The first figure, the 3.1, the 3.2 for this month, we get it. In order for you to get like a change, you need to get the beginning and the end. So that change of 3.2, we compared January 2025 and January 2026. We got one figure. When we compare two periods, we get one figure, which is the 3.2. And now, the other year ended of December. And that's why we say year ended in December. The other one, year ended December. Yeah, those are figures for us. And then you also asked about, you hear people saying the inflation is stable, but when you come here, you see us saying there is an increment. You know, when you get an inflation that is still below 5, the country is very stable. That's a good inflation. And the zero inflation is also not very good. It discourages some. So a stable inflation, the one that is not high, is good for the country, as long as it doesn't go beyond. So that the 3 that we are getting, the 3.2, shows stability in the economy. Then you also asked about inflation and what has been happening in the elections, whether it will not affect the inflation. You know, at Uganda Bureau of Statistics, we measure the inflation. We don't know Whether money has been in the circulation, we are not aware. Whether they are, that's another institution to measure that. But for us, our aim is to measure inflation, how prices are moving. And in case that shows, we shall come back maybe next month and we shall measure for next month and see the impact. So if it is there, well and good, we report as is. We don't speculate, we go and measure. So we measured in January, there's been a slight increment. So I can't even tell you what it will be like in February unless we first measure it and report back. So thank you very much, the team from UBC.
Do you want me to explain more? I think she has nailed it. My further explanation might not suffice. So is there any other reaction before we switch into the Uganda session? Mombele, are you fine? Okay. I think panel, since I'm not seeing any hand coming up, it seems that it has been very precise. We had the KISS principle, keep it simple and short. So we've kept it simple and short, and I think everyone has understood it. So allow me to introduce to you Mr. Magoma Godfrey, a senior statistician with the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, who is going to give us the Uganda version of the same, so that nabagala mulimi lwaffe Nancy batufuna bulungi. So mukulu Magoma, omulangira wa Kabaka, nkwaniriza ssebo otuwe emboozi eyo mu Luganda. Weebale.
Okay. Nziramu okubaaniriza nga tumalako omwezi guno ogusookedde ddala mu mwaka guno 2026 nga tubawa bye tujeeyo mu kunoonyereza naddala ku miwendo nga bwe gitambudde wano mu Uganda. Nja kuba ntandikira ku bbanga ery'emyezi 12 oluzungu kyayise annual, nga ngezaako okubawa ebbanga eryo tulabe emiwendo gitambudde gitya. Kutwaliza wamu emiwendo tuba tutunulidde ku bbanga ery'emyezi 12, emiwendo kati wano mu Uganda giri ku bitundu 3 n'obutuntundu 2. Okuva bwe byali ku mwaka ogwako mu mwezi ogw'e12, era ye yali annual y'omwezi mu December, bwe yali ku bitundu 3 n'akatundu kamu. Bwe tutunulira ku kibinja ebivaamu ekibinja kino ekinene kye tubawadde nga kituyita annual COA, kiri kati ku bitundu 3 n'obutuntundu 3 okuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 3 n'akatundu kamu. Ekibinja kya COA kirimu obubinja 2, nga muno mwe muli ekibinja ky'empeereza abala ze bayita services, ate n'ekibinja kya the goods. Nga ekibinja ky'empeereza kati kiri ku bitundu 4 n'obutuntundu 8 okuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 4 mu mwezi ogw'e12 omwaka 2025. Ate ekibinja kya the goods kati kiri ku bitundu 2 n'akatundu kamu okuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 2 n'obutuntundu 5 omwezi ogw'e12 omwaka 2025. Bwe tugenda mu maaso nga tutunulira ku kibinja eky'empeereza, ebintu ebisinze okukyukakyuka, tusinze okulaba nti ebyentambula eby'omu bbanga byalinnye n'ebitundu 8 n'obutundu 8 okuva bwe kyali ku kitundu 1 n'obutuntundu 2 mu mwezi ogw'e12 mu mwaka 2025. Ate ebyentambula eby'oku ttaka byo byasigadde tebikyuse nnyo nga biri ku 0 okuva we byali bisse n'ebitundu 3.8. Ate ne tujjayo naddala ensolo ya kasasiro emiwendo egyo abantu gye basasula gyo gyalinnye n'ebitundu 16.8 okuva bwe gyali ku bitundu 10.8. Ng'ebyo kikibinja ekyakowa other goods. Tusinze okujjayo ebyasinze okukyukakyuka nga mwe muli sukaali yasse kati ali ku kitundu 1.2 okuva bwe yali ku bitundu 3 n'akatundu kamu. Akawunga ka kasooli kasse kati kali ku bitundu 5 kuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 6. Ate ebyennyanja ebikalu byasse ku kitundu 1.7 okuva bwe kali ku bitundu 12.5. Ate sabbuuni tukozesa mu kwoza engoye yasse n'ebitundu 2.2 okuba byali ku bitundu 2 mu mwezi ogwaggwa. Bwe tunuulira ku kibinja eky'emmere kirika ku bitundu 3 okuva bwe kyali ku bitundu 4 mu mwezi ogwa12/2025, nga bye tusinze okujjayo tujjeya emmere y'amatooke yasse n'ebitundu 4.5 okuva yali alinnye n'obutundu 7. Ate ennyaanya zeyongedde okukka ebitundu 10.1 kuva zaali zisse n'ebitundu 4.3. Lumonde omuganda yasse n'ebitundu 4 okuva bwe yali alinnye n'ebitundu 12.5. Ate ebyanjala ebikalu bitundu 1 kuva byali ku bitundu 1.5. Omumonde obuzungu kati buli ku kitundu 1.3 kuva byali ku bitundu 2.3. Bwe tunuulira ku kibinja eky'amazzi amafuta n'amasannyalaze kiri kali ku kitundu 1.7 okuva bwe kyali ku kitundu 1.4 mu mwezi ogwa12 omwaka 2025. Nga tujjeeyo amasannyalaze kati gali gasse n'ekitundu 1.8 kuva bwe gali gasse n'ebitundu 3.7. Ate enku ezikozesebwa mu kufumba zo ziri ku bitundu 6.9 kuva bwe zaali ku bitundu 4.9. Ebyo mu bufunze bibadde biva nga tutunulidde ebbanga ery'emyezi 12 oba katugiyite annual mu luzungu. Kati bwe tunuulira ku bbanga ery'okumpi kye tuyita monthly, kati emiwendo okutwaliza awamu byalinnye n'obutundu 3 okuva bwe byalinnya n'obutundu 5 mu mwezi ogwa12 omwaka 2025. Nga tutunulira ku kibinja ky'emmere kyasse n'obutundu 7 okuva bwe kyali kirinnye n'ebitundu 3 mu mwezi ogwa12. Ebintu ebyasinze okukka tujjeeyo emmere y'amatooke yasse n'obutundu 6 n'obutundu 6. Obutunda bwasse n'obutundu 6. Lumonde yasse n'ebitundu 3.8. Enanansi zasse n'ebitundu 8.5 wamu n'ennyaanya zasse n'ekitundu 1.7. Ate bwe tunuulira ku kibinja ekyakowa kiri kati ku bitundu 5 okuva era bwe kyali bitundu bintu byemu bitundu 5 mu mwezi ogwa12 omwaka 2025. Nga tunuulira ku kibinja bivaamu ekibinja kino kowa mwe muli ebyempeereza kati biri ku bitundu 7 okuva bwe gyali era ku bitundu 7 mu mwezi ogwa12 2025. Ate n'ekibinja kya other goods kyo kiri ku bitundu 3 okuva era bwe kyali ku bitundu 3 mu mwezi ogwa December 2025. Wetunulira ku byasinze olyote enkyukakyuka mu bibinja bino ebibiri, naye ekibinja ky'empeereza tuggyeyo ebyentambula bibyalinnya n'obutundu 4 kuva byalinnya n'ebitundu 4 n'obutundu 2, ate ebyensoloza naddala bya kasasiro byalinnye n'ebitundu 13 okuva byali ku 0 mu mwezi ogwa Desemba. Ekibinja kya the goods tuggyeyo enkoko enansi enamungo ziguze mu katale zalinnye n'ebitundu 9 n'akatundu kamu okuva ku bitundu 5 n'obutundu 8, ate ebyennyanja ebibisi naddala tilapia yalinnye n'ebitundu 8 n'obutundu 3 kuva bwe yali bise n'akatundu kitundu kimu n'obutundu 7. Ennyama nayo yeyongedde okulinnya n'ekitundu kimu n'obutundu 7 okuva bwe yali erinnye n'obutundu 9, ate n'ebyennyanja ebikalu byalinnye n'ebitundu 6 n'obutundu 9 okuva byali bise n'ekitundu kimu n'obutundu 4. Ekibinja ky'amafuta amazzi n'amasannyalaze kyasigadde ku 0 okuva wekigeraageranya bwe kyali kirinnye n'ebitundu 4 mu mwezi ogwa Desemba. Figa eno okutwaliza wamu bw'eba ku 0 tekitegeeza nti emiwendo mu kibinja ekyo ebintu byonna tebyakoze ki, tebyakyuse. Ekibinja kirimu ebintu bingi bye tutunuulira, kati mu kibinja ekyo osanga ebintu ebimu biba birinnye ate ebimu ne bika. Kati mu kukka ne kulinnya kyesanga nga kiri kisazizaamu kiri ekirinnye nekino, kati emiwendo ne gibanga okutwaliza wamu gisigadde ku 0. Kyova olaba nti tulina stability eyo gye tuyita 0. Nga ebintu bye twasize okugyayo ebyalinnye mu enku zalinnye n'ekitundu kimu n'obutundu 3, ate amafuta aga petro ne galinnye n'obutundu 5. Ate otunuulira ku ebyo ebyasse twazigyeyo amanda gasse n'ekitundu kimu, ate ne gas kutukozesa mu kufumba nakka n'obutundu 2. Waliwo ekifaananyi ekisigiddwa bwemutunulira ku mpapula ezibaweereddwa nga kiraga engeri y'entambula gy'emiwendo ku ebyo bye tusobodde okubagirayomuko, ng'olabira ddala ekifaananyi ekirungi kikulaga ebintu nga bwe bitambudde. Naddala ekifaananyi kyetaagisa okutunulirako bw'otunuulira ku mafuta ga petro, olabira ddala nti mu bbanga lye limu mu mwaka ogw'2025 lita y'amafuta yali ku siringi 15,000 ne sente ne siringi 6, kati ali ku 15,508. Kiraga nti awo waliwo ki, amafuta gano galinnye bw'oba otunuulidde n'ebbanga ery'emyezi 12, ne bw'oba otunuulidde ku bbanga ery'omwezi ogumu mu Desemba oba omwezi ogw'12 amafuta ga petro gaali ku 15,000. Kiraga nti amafuta aga petro gagenze galinnya. Ne bw'otunuulira ku diesel kyekimu ekifaananyi ekisigiddwa nti diesel mu mwaka 2025 omwezi ogw'olubereberye gaali ku 4,654, kati mu mwezi gwe gumu gwa January 2026 gaali ku 4,693. Olabira ddala nti era waliwo okulinnya mu miwendo. Ekifaananyi ekyo musobola okyetunulira n'ojjayo oba n'olaba ebintu nga bwe bitambudde ku miwendo emirala, ku bintu ebirala. Kubawo ekifaananyi bye tujje naddala ku bifo byaffe bye tujjamu emiwendo, tukisanze omwezi guno nti Kampala High wamu ne Masaka zasibaganye nga zonna ziri ku bitundu 4. Kati ekifo ekisinze okuba n'emiwendo ejja wansi kyekifo eki Arua nga kiri kitundu kimu n'obutundu 3. Mu bufunze kutwalizamu ebyo bye tusobodde okubagirayo mu mwezi guno. Njagala kubaagaliza omwezi omulungi gwe tugenda okutandika. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala.
Weebale nnyo, weebale Jam mukulu Magoma. Simanyi oba waliwo alina kyayagala okubuuza oba okulungamyamu oba okwongera okutegeera mu lulimi Oluganda.
Bamutala Ronnie Bulegera nkwana Impact Radio ne Dream TV. Kakati twagala kumanya emiwendo gino ebiseera ebisinga mutugamba nti gikyuse n'okusinga ddala egibeera gisse wansiko. Naye abantu ku ground erife gye tubeera nti wagenda ne mugamba nti ebitundu byasse bibiri kangambe ku muceere oba ku sabbuuni. Ebbeeyi yemu gye baddamu ne bagulirako nti sabbuuni waba wakakaaga omuti gusigala gwa kakaaga. Kitegeeza ki ekyo eri omuntu wa bulijjo? N'ekyokubiri waliwo ekibuuzo ekyabuuziddwako akalu kano ke twakavaamu nsimbi zisaasaanyisiddwa nnyingi nnyo. Waliwo engeri yonna gye kwongeddemu mu nkyukakyuka y'emiwendo?
Waliwo omulala alina kyabuuza? Ndowooza kyekyo. Tugende n'ekyo.
Neeyanziza nnyo olw'ebibuuzo ebyo by'obuuziza. Njagala kukozesa omukisa guno okutangaaza ate n'okusomesa bannange mwenna abali wano nti ekintu kino bulijjo we kiri. Abantu abamu bwe mugenda mu katale oba bwe tugenda mu katale, kuba nange mu katale ŋŋendayo, abasuubuzi bano bagezi nnyo oluusi okutusingako. Bamanyi okuba nti ekintu kye bakuwa nga obuzito tebuwera. Nolowooza nti omuti gwa sabbuuni okusooka emabega ennyo gwali nga gwa grams ogwali omutono gwali ku standard nga gulina weight oba obuzito bwa grams 7. Naye gwagenda bagukendeeza naye nga price ekoze ki? Esigadde yeemu. Kye kimu n'abadde bayifollowinga oba mbadde bagenda nga mutunulira. Otunulira ku kintu nga kasaketi ka omo katandika nga ka grams 10. Naye kasaketi kano kagenze kakola ki? Bakasala weight oba obuzito. Naye ng'ate emiwendo tegikyuka, basigaza emiwendo gye gimu. Kati ffe nga ffe abanoonyereza ekyo ekintu tukitunulira nnyo. Bw'oba olwaleero otunze emyera, katugambe oba emyera nga gya 2,000 ogenze ku katale, tetutwala butwazi nti emyera egyo gya 2,000. Naye ffe ebintu bino tubigula ate ne tuddamu ne tubipima ne tufuna obuzito ne tukyusa ne tufuna obuzito singa nguze mu kiro. Kye kituwa ekifaananyi ekirungi okusinga gwe bw'ogula obuguzi nti emyera gya 2,000 n'otwala oba bagitadde ku 2,500, tomanyi buzito ki bw'okoze ki? Bw'otutte. Kye kimu naddala ebintu ebyo bingi nnyo ebiri mu tuluba eryo, naddala nga emicungwa mugula mu mirengo, obutungulu, ennyaanya, ebintu bye bityo. Basinga oli abipima nga gulowooza omuteeko ogwo gwataddewo omulengo guwera oba guzitowa oba gwe gwa bulijjo, naye ate nga mu butuufu omuteeko gukoze ki? Si gwe gumu ne gwe wali waguze oba olw'eggulo. So ekyo ffe tetukigendera ku tetugula buguzi mulengo. Tumala okugula ate tukomawo eno ne tubipima ne tulaba obuzito obwo bwe nagula wiiki ewedde bwe bumu bwe nguze n'olwaleero. Kye kituwa enkyukakyuka ezo ze tuba tugezaako ze tubaleetera ne tubabulira nti ebintu babisse oba birinnye. Bwe zira ku kiri ekya ssente ze mwogerako ezasaasaanyiddwa mu kalulu, egyo nze sizja kuba saaliyo, sibadde saazifunako, so simanyi oba zaaliyo. Naye ffe kye tukola tetutera kuzitunulira oba zaaliyo, naye kye tukola tugenda mu katale ne tugula ebintu nga gwe bwandigenze ne tulaba akatale ke katubuulira ebintu babiseera oba tebabiseera, kwe biri oba tebiriiyo. Naye nga bulijjo ffe kye tusinga okulaba nti ekisinga okutamininga oba okusalawo ku miwendo y'ebintu okubeera mu katale biba bingi, emiwendo gitera okukola ki? Okukkako. Bwe biba nga ebintu byongedde okubula, emiwendo gitera okulinnya.
Media partners, for your presence whenever you're called upon. and thank you for your appearing today, and welcome to the new year. We wish to adjourn this to our further date till February. And as of now, I say thank you and have a blessed day.